Hello, hello, hello. This is your Captain Panic speaking out of the kitchen again and with another Touchdesigner tutorial, which you can already see in the background. I realize there is a lot of stuff going on. But before I start, I want to mention that this tutorial is not really focused on how I created this animation, because it's more of a combination of different things I already showed before. But in this tutorial it's more about how to get as much details as possible out of 2D texture maps or operator things we created, by just simply using simple operators, but how to use them in order to get as much detail as possible, and how to use colors in different ways to enhance the details and everything. So yeah, this is what this is about, and that's also the reason why there's a lot of stuff going on, because I thought this setup is perfect to show how I get my details, which I enjoy. So take a seat and I will welcome you on my screen. Welcome on my screen, and now let's take care of this animation. So the first thing I want to create is, as always, a constant chop, and set the resolution in this. This time I'm going to use HD square resolution, so I only need a res, a one channel, and I set it to 1920. And another thing, I will use the time, which is just the app's time dot seconds thing. So we then can just use this and export it whenever we need it. So to get started, I went with a noise top. So create the noise. And now let's make changes to the noise. So I set a period of 3, no harmonics. We want it to be monochrome, and I set the amplitude to 0.55, and I want this to be more of a gradient, and so I decided to scale it up to 0.2, and then animation. So use your constant time chop on the z-axis of the noise. And because it's really, really fast, I slowed it down by multiplying 0.1. Cool. Also important is to use a 32-bit float pixel format. This is one key thing I do to get as much detail as possible. So you will need this. And also export the resolution on here. So, okay, good. So much about this noise. Now, our first step to get as much detail in this noise as possible is create another noise, place it over here, use this as both inputs, and then change the noise type to random, and change the pixel format to 32-bit float. And then in here I set the amplitude to 0.28 and the offset to 0.188. So this will give us some grain onto this map we created here. So we have this, and then this one with some grain. And now we want to combine those two together by just making a comp, leave it on multiply and bring this one back in. So, all right. Then after this, I created a null because I will make a feedback loop here. So null, then create an over, this, and then just make a level, also insert a level here. Set the opacity here to null point null 1, and then make a second input for the over, which will be down this level, and make a feedback. But don't make this over the target layer for the feedback. We will make some more steps for the feedback here. So after this, I created this place it down here, and then make a keyboard in for our feedback here, so we can just easily reset it. And then we make this displays our target layer for this feedback. Okay, so now we need to take care of the second input for the displays, so what we are going to use to displace it. And to do this, I will create a select top, which I will place maybe here. And for this select, I'm going to use this feedback. So place this one in here. And then I need more details out of this feedback. So once again, let's make a noise after this. Bring in both inputs. Select the output to noise. And then in this noise, let's have a look. So basically, the period will be 1, the harmonics will be 2. So let's keep everything on default in here, except for the pixel format, which we will turn to 32-bit float mono in this case, without alpha. We don't want alpha, so 32-bit float mono. And then we want even more details in this. So right now, you can't really see anything happening. That's because we don't have anything plugged in here right now. So maybe yeah, let's get some details. So after this, I will create a comp. And to get more details into this comp, I will create a level out of this noise. I will just invert this one here and then plug it back in this comp and set the operation mode to difference. By doing this, we get more, how should I say, harmonics or different shades out of the same animation by just simply inverting it and then bringing it back in. And yeah, then after this I will create a slope, and in this slope I will make some changes too. So first thing, I want the green not to be neutral here. I want it to be vertical luminance, just like this. And the blue should be neutral. Everything else keeps on default except for the strength. So 5 in sample step 5 I will choose. And another thing, I need some colors, especially the R and the G. So I will change the pixel format to 32-bit float RG. So this one here. Now you can see we get some colors back in again. Okay. So after the slope, I will create a blur, which I will keep on default, and then create another blur, which I will crank up completely. So 8 pre-shrink and 32-bit, 32 filter size. And then let's plug it into the displays here. And also let's connect this to null now. And let's hit 1, and yeah, nothing is really happening. And that's because we need to change the red, the vertical source from blue to green, because we only have red and green values here, which gives us more details. So perfect. Now you can already see, okay, we have this really popping up explosion-like thing happening, which is amazing. But we can get even more details from it. So here you can see what we did with our level, or just inverting. So we got way more details in here as we had here or here by just combining. And you remember we did this grain thing here, and we also want this grain thing here once again. So before we head into the slope, let's bring in the slope over here again, make another comp here, and out of this comp let's head into another noise. Use both inputs, change it to random, and then let's go with the same values we had before. Make sure to have the right pixel format, and then combine it again. So by doing that, we replace it. You can see we get even more details again. So just like this. Yeah, I guess you can see it. I don't have to mention it every time I see it. And all right, cool. So let's go on with our detail thirstiness. So after this displays, I will make another comp, and guess what? Out of this place, I will also make another level. In this level, I will just invert everything again, bring it in here again, and make it a difference. By this, we highlight our edges here again, so everything gets even more detailed again. Perfect. So let's create a null here again. And now let's bring in some color. But this coloring is not exactly for the final product, so keep that in mind. I don't want anything to be colored perfectly yet. I just use those colors to get even more details. Details is my word of the year, by the way, in case you're already annoyed by me using it. And yeah, out of that null, let's create a noise. This time I won't use that noise as a grain, so I just change the output to noise. But I will use it to get more different color shades. So in this noise, I decided to keep everything like it is, just to keep it open to change things later. So the more harmonics you have, the more of those things you will get. The higher the period, the less, you know. So feel free to play around with those. And then I just copied that noise and turned off the monochrome, just so I have this black and white version and a colored version. And then I will combine those by using a comp. So by doing that, we have a lot of different shades and colors, so a combination of both. And after that, I will create an edge. And this edge will detect every edge on our animation. And this edge visualizes pretty good how much different things we have going on here. But right now it's a little bit too much for my taste. So I decided to create a blur again. And this blur I cranked up pretty high. So I set the filter size to 32. And after it, we create another feedback loop, which will use those details to give us a different evolution of those details. So I will make a null, because now we will set up another feedback loop. I will make a comp, give us some space. This feedback loop will be kind of big. And set the comp operation mode to maximum. And then create a feedback here, set it up here because we need some space in here. Connect it here and make this one the target layer. Then the first thing I want to add is a level. Set it up here so we have some space in here. And in that level, I will change the brightness 1 in the brie to 0.984. This is a very specific number. And once again, I will use the keyboard in 1 also on this feedback, so I can just reset it. So, perfect. And now, you might already see from recording our edges here, we already get a new thing going on. But we want this thing to be even more interesting. So first of all, after the blur, after the feedback, I made a blur, where I set the filter size to 3 and the sample step to 9.5. So I want this blur to be pretty subtle. And then out of this feedback here, I made a comp where I brought in the null here again. And I set the comp operation mode to soft light. After it, I created a slope, my favorite operator, by the way. And I kept everything on default here and set the strength to 555. And then right before that level here, we want to make a displace. And let's make a blur after that slope. I forgot, I'm sorry. And that blur I set to 32 filter size. And then let's plug it into that displace. Yay. Already looks kind of cool. Yet it isn't what I want because the displace weight is a little bit too high. Right now this is a little bit too crazy for my taste. So I decided to bring down the displace weight really heavily to 0.05 maybe. Yeah, this is exactly what I want. So it gives us this shroomy things, but also some small moments, some bigger moments. Exactly how I want it. Cool. So you might realize this is pretty close to what you saw in the beginning. Now it's our final mode to bring in some colors and more shade to this. So first thing I did after that comp, because I wanted it to be a little bit brighter, so I just inverted it, just liked it more like that. It's those bright moments where it turns dark in the middle. I like that more than the inverted way, but this is up to you. And also I made a little blur again because I wanted it to be a little bit glowy. So I've set down the filter size to 5 here. And then I will do the same thing I did here, but this time more smooth. So once again, make a noise, use both inputs, change the output to noise, use the right pixel format, and then I played around with the period. I set it to 2 and the harmonics to 1. Yeah. And I changed the seed to, I don't know, some random number, just so it's not the basic seed. And then I copied it and turned off the monochrome. I used the seed 915 and I wanted to use it again because I really, really like the colors. And I set down the harmonics to null. And I will also use the same seed here because I really like my colors I showed in the beginning. And then I combined those two again by just using the multiply. Yeah, we're getting closer to our end result. But I want it to be a little bit brighter, so after that monochrome noise, I made a level. And in that level, I also made some adjustments, like I turned up the brightness a little bit for more contrast. I also played around with the black level a little bit. I turned down the contrast so it's more glowing, and also the gamma got a little bit lower. But that's just how I liked it. This is not necessary for the animation. And then another step to get, this is the last time I'm using the word details, to get more details, is bring in some more edges again. So make an edge here, so it just detects the edges again. Right now they are a little bit too thick, so I turned down the strength to 0.1 here. And then I will bring it back in. So make a comp, place this here, and then change the operation mode to whatever you like. So you could just do the add, and then it just adds like a highlight on the edges. But what I enjoyed the most is the difference. Because by using the difference, it's more subtle and it gives us even more different colors in here again. So remember, when I turn it off and when I turn it on. I like it a lot. Yeah, cool. And because I like it to glow even more, I decided to do another thing, which is opening up the palette again and using the bloom filter and just dragging it in and then making some adjustments here. So for example, I changed the glow color to white to make it more neutral and brought down the filter size, the blur size to 18, and the most important thing, brought down the intensity to 0.2 and the threshold to 0.12. And yeah, that are my settings I use to get this to glow more. And yeah, that's the animation I wanted to show. That's my ways of getting more crispy things. I said crispy in order to avoid saying detail again. Yeah, I thought it's pretty interesting to share, because you can use those little tricks in every animation. Yeah, to expand your animations, or to give it more interesting, different thingies going on. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial or workaround or whatever you want to call it. And I will hope you will listen to me the next time I say detail, and I hope you're staying healthy, hope you're staying creative, stay kind, and bye bye.